Someone might say, for example, want to do doggy style. They may think that that's going to somehow help them, or maybe they just want to do that. I don't know.
Are you in touch with the children?
Yeah, the older children, yes.
Do they call you dad?
Yeah. Some people do, some don't. It really depends on the relationship that I had with the child's mother and how she addressed me. Hi, my name's Joe Dunner. I'm a private sperm donor, and I have about 200 children.
How did this all start?
Well, this all started about 15 years ago. I was in a relationship and I wasn't able to have the children that I wanted in the relationship. I got online, found the free sperm donation. At that time, I was too old to donate in a clinic already, and I found a Yahoo chat group for private sperm donations. You would make a post, you would say where you're located, how you're willing to carry out the donations, and then if someone was interested in you, they would write back to you. After I'd been doing that for maybe a year or so, the Facebook groups became more popular. And once we moved to Facebook, it was a lot easier because just the way that you would see pictures. So when we were on the Yahoo chat groups, you would contact someone, and it was always a bit of a struggle to get people to send pictures. So you have no idea who you're talking with. But when we started doing stuff on Facebook, you would instantly see the person's profile, and you get a fairly good impression of the person. So it was a lot easier to communicate with people.
Talk to me about the first woman that was interested.
The first woman I recall, there might have been one or two others. She lived, must have been about 90 minutes away from me, so it wasn't too far away. And it was fairly easy to arrange everything with her. I just went to her house. I met her once, and the first time it didn't work. We'd agreed that if it didn't work the first time, the next time we would do a natural insemination. So the next time I went back and we did the natural insemination, and she got pregnant that time.
By natural insemination, you mean?
Yeah, a natural insemination would be just sexual intercourse.
What drove you to keep doing it?
We were both happy with the meeting and how everything worked out. So I kept doing this. People were very happy that the pregnancies happened very quickly. And people were also very happy with the children who were born. It was fun for me because people appreciated what I was doing. And I also enjoyed doing it.
What did you enjoy about it?
I just like to have more children. It wasn't as much work as a relationship. I was in a relationship already at that time. I was quite happy with the relationship. So I wasn't in the position to form a full-on relationship. So by doing the donations, it was much easier just to meet people and have a child. The women who I met, a large number of them were lesbians. And then there were single mothers by choice. And then there were some couples where it was a heterosexual couple, but the man was infertile. So when I first started doing this, I helped about 10 people a year, or I should say there were roughly 10 pregnancies a year. And that's actually been fairly consistent for the entire time that I've been doing this.
And are most of these artificial inseminations or natural?
It's about half and half. Although back in those days, it was about half the artificial insemination and half the natural insemination. As I became more technically expert, I would do this shipping, where I would ship the sample to people. So these days, I do a lot more shipping.
When was the last time you made a donation?
I will say I have several pregnancies underway at the moment. I think I did something last week. Like I said, this is not something where I have a plan, where I have a target that I want to meet, and I want all these things to happen. It's just like these things happen around me.
So talk to me about the natural inseminations. Were women just calling you and you go around and have sex with them? It
is sex, but a lot of people, when they ask about this, I think they're imagining a way to find women to have sex with. But a lot of the natural insemination is actually waiting. So most of your work is in helping people to schedule a meeting. So people might meet you maybe once a month. So this isn't an easy way to have sex. It's just probably the most efficient way to have a child. I guess most of the sex I have is through the natural insemination, helping women to get pregnant. It's not, for example, I don't sext. So I don't send pictures of myself to people. I don't ask people for pictures. those type of things just don't really interest me. It's just meeting someone to have sex and then have a child. So there are a lot of, for example, a lot of people get very excited about oral sex. So oral sex typically wouldn't be part of this. So it's just you're meeting people, and sex just as being a human function. There's, physiologically it has to be pleasurable. Otherwise, people aren't going to put the effort into doing it. So there's some pleasure in it, but it's neither emotionless, and it's also not just about sex. It's just about helping people to have the children that they want. So it's not a one night stand where you're never going to see the person again. There is some interaction which is going to go on for as long as the child exists. It's not what you expect if you haven't done it before. The actual act itself is only going to last a few minutes. But then the other aspects of it, the child is, of course, gonna outlast you.
How much do you charge per donation?
I don't really charge per donation. What I do is I pass on the expenses. So the expenses would vary depending upon like how far I travel, if I have to stay in a hotel, whatever the costs are that are involved. I spend a lot of time on this, but I do other work as well. I don't really have a full-time job. I do various part-time jobs, you could say.
So you don't make money from sperm donation, you do it because you enjoy it?
Yeah, and like I said, people are reimbursing the expenses. I also try not to lose money on it. I'm kind of breaking even.
So what do you get out of it?
I enjoy helping people, and also I enjoy having more children. I can't advise this to anyone. If you want to become rich, maybe you should look at crypto. This is not the way to become rich. If you want to have sex with a lot of people, you should try some other field as well, maybe Chippendales or something. This is just, if you want to help people and have a lot of children, then sperm donation could be for you.
Do you believe you're helping people or changing the world in some way?
I'm changing the world in a very small way, though. I've mentioned 200 children in a population of 8 billion. So I don't know if there's much I can do in my life to change the world in a meaningful way. But I think I am having meaningful and positive influences on many people, but I don't think it's changing the world.
Are there any women you would say no to, or will you impregnate anyone?
Most women don't give me a lot of information to decide, and they're going to present themselves to me in the best possible light. But if someone were to bring it to my attention, they have a very obvious problem. Like, say, for example, someone is sectioned. I wouldn't help someone who's sectioned. Basically, a person in that position would find it very difficult because they'd have to meet me at certain times when they're ovulating. So a lot of people who have those sorts of problems, it's difficult for them. So I wouldn't help someone in that situation.
Have you ever turned up to do a natural insemination and either you've said no or they've said no?
Not really. If someone has a change of heart, usually, their phone would just go dead. They wouldn't pick up their phone. And then, I kind of know that something's happened. I shouldn't say a lot of times, but sometimes, people will, they'll double book. Like they'll book, they'll be very nervous. They want to make sure someone's there. They'll book in 2 different donors. And when one of them shows up, they don't want the other one to show up anymore. And then the phone goes dead. Those type of things do happen. Maybe it's happened once, I don't know, where a woman has, I don't know, just had a very poor attitude. And I don't think it has anything to do with me. There's something else going on in her life. And she wasn't able to control it, and it just spills out. And she, if there's this very, I guess, a bad vibe, it's not like I go into some place and I have some sort of weird feeling. It's just like sometimes you go somewheres and the person is, they have something else going on in their life and they just can't focus on the situation, or they don't meet when they're ovulating.
Is it just one position?
The sex it's different for every person. So the way that sex could happen, there's no specific way that sex happens for sperm donation that it doesn't happen in regular life. It's not really special. What happens is people have things that they want. There's some people who might want a very specific thing. Someone might say, for example, want to do doggy style. They may think that that's going to somehow help them. Or maybe they just want to do that. I don't know. And then some people might want to do the missionary position. I would say the missionary position is most common. It's just the easiest, most basic way of doing things. And you don't really know the person that well. So it's probably not a good idea. Like I don't go into one of these expecting to have a certain type of experience. That could be awkward for people. If you have a very specific interest, which the other person doesn't have, then it's a little bit difficult to bring it up. And also, if you have a relationship with someone, the two of you are going to develop your own way of doing it. If you've met someone, she may be doing things the way that she did in her previous relationship, and you may be doing things the way that you did it in your previous relationship. And then after you spend some time with this person, both of you are going to find the way that things happen in your relationship. Whereas when you're doing the sperm donation, you're not going to meet that frequently. You may meet once, and then she gets pregnant, and then you don't see her again for 2 or 3 years until she wants another child. So there's not that sort of time to develop your own specific way of doing things. So I think often what happens is there may be someone who is doing this because they had a negative experience in their lives, and that makes it difficult for them to date. So that person, there may be some things that they don't want to happen, and they would probably tell you about that. So it's more about kind of removing those things which people don't want to do, not trying to be too acrobatic or to have new experiences. It's just about you're going to meet someone. Of course, you want to get along with them, but you're not there for a sexual experience because you have this favorable relationship where you're both working together on a project. To get this woman pregnant. I think that's a very positive aspect, and that's more what I like about it. This person wants to do it because they want to get pregnant, and that's the part that I enjoy, working on that project together.
How do you deal with STDs?
Well, I've been very fortunate. I haven't had any. Part of this, like you've asked me a bunch of questions about sex. So obviously, sex is a really important thing for a lot of people who aren't doing this but are curious about this. The fact is that most people I'm helping are women who aren't having a lot of sex themselves. If they were having a lot of sex, then they probably wouldn't need my help. So both of us are coming from a similar position. This is just something that we do to have a child. And, if most people are going to have maybe 2 children in their lifetime, and they're going to space those children out with, 2 or 3 years in between them, it's just not a lot of sex that's happening.
Do you keep track of where all your children are in the world?
It's surprisingly difficult, and it has to do with the age that we live in. In some ways we have all these devices, we have social media, so there's a lot of ways to communicate with people. But in some ways, we no longer keep written records of things. Everything is online. And the social media changes very quickly. It's very easy to lose phones, to lose profiles, to lose access to profiles, to make new profiles. So it's actually very difficult to keep in touch with people.
Are you in touch with any of them?
Sure, I'm in touch with a lot of people. I think you just heard my phone signaling me that's someone who I have a child with.
Are you in touch with the children?
Yeah, the older children, yes.
And do they call you dad?
Yeah. Some people do, some don't. It really depends on the relationship that I had with the child's mother and how she addressed me. Because some people, they may be in a committed relationship and they want their partner to be a parent to the child. So they're very sensitive about what word is used. And then there's other people who, for example, a single mother by choice, and for them it's no big deal. Or perhaps as a lesbian couple, and they're going to be mum and mummy or something. They have their way of calling each other, but that father position is open. so they're not that worried about it. But if you have a couple where it's a heterosexual couple and the man is infertile, a lot of times those people don't even want to have contact. They want to present the child as being that man's child.
Is there a number where you would stop?
I haven't really thought of a number to stop. I don't have a goal number. I just get up every day and live my life. And, these are the things that seem to happen around me.
If someone said this is just a way that he's using to have sex with women, how would you react to that?
Well, I would say this may be a person who feels in their own life that they're not having enough sex and they want to have more sex. And they're looking at me through that prism and they're expecting that I'm having a lot of sex. But the fact is that this is mostly about planning. When I first speak with someone, I don't say, hey, send me a nude picture. I don't say anything like that. I would be like, what date did your last period start? And then I look at my calendar and I figure out the days that we have to meet. So we're only meeting once a month. And because a lot of women I help, they get pregnant the first time we meet, I see her once and then I won't see her again for 2 or 3 years. So if your personal sex life is you're having sex less than once every 2 or 3 years, this is not really going to help you. People just want to have a child and sex is a part of that. So it's just a natural part of life. And if you want to live your life at an accelerated pace, have sex with different women every night or something like that, this is just not going to work for a person who wants to do that.
Some people say that you're exploiting vulnerable women who are desperate for children. How do you respond to that?
For the most part, I don't choose the women who come to me. So I think that a lot of women who come to me are women who perhaps they're unable to meet the man that they want through regular dating, or perhaps they already have a partner who's perfect for them but infertile. They may be lesbians or something else. So those people are coming to me to fulfill their own need. I'm not seeking these people. I find that this vulnerable woman thing, this is a feminist narrative. These women are able to have the children that they want without having a relationship. And this kind of challenges the entire social paradigm. So you find people, there's a lot of people out there who make their living from the more typical relationships, which might involve a marriage, divorce. These people who present this narrative of vulnerable women are more on the divorce side. So they want people's relationships to fail, perhaps, or they want to get involved when a person's relationship has failed. And they're going to provide a service to that person at that time. So part of their narrative is they want to present the people that they're helping as being vulnerable and in need of their assistance. Whereas what I'm doing is I'm just going to help a woman get pregnant, and then she may go out and have a relationship with some other person. So the woman that I'm helping has no need for this feminist paradigm. They don't need, they're not vulnerable in need of services. And I think this is very frightening to people whose livings depend upon helping vulnerable women. Because, women are no longer forced to be in a relationship that they don't want to be in. They can have the relationship that they want. It's a kind of an unpacked relationship. So they can have a relationship with one man who can be their partner. But if that man is infertile, they can have someone like me get them pregnant. So they have complete freedom to build this sort of relationship, and they don't have to stay with a one man who perhaps they live in a state someplace, and the only men around them, let's say there's some, street people, drug dealers, people like that. And they feel like I have to restrict my partners to this pool of people. And then they're going to have problems like those guys might beat them or something. Whereas the world is changing. And now they can find someone anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the world, to provide each thing that they need. And if they want to leave that relationship, they can leave it at any time they want. So I think that there are some people who feel their livelihoods are at risk if women are no longer vulnerable.
Some people say that this could cause accidental incest. How do you feel about that?
Having a large number of children, I have a large number of children, but they're spread all over the world. So having 200 children in a world with 8 billion people is just spit in the ocean. The problems arise, like if you're in one postcode, you could even just have 2 children in one postcode that you don't know about. And that is a bigger risk than having 200 over the entire world. So in my case, people come to me, and usually there's a large amount of travel. There's quite a bit of distance. So they're looking for me because they can't find someone who's close by. So this entire situation creates distance. And if you're thinking about things in a reasonable and rational way, you'll realize that 200 people in a world of 8 billion is nothing. It's much more of a risk if you have, say, 2 children within a population of 10,000 people, because those 2 children might be going to the same school, and they might meet in an actual dating relationship. Whereas if I have 200 children over the entire world, even in the UK, there's 66 million people. The math has been done on this, and they've decided that the risk level is something like 22 children in a population of 850,000. And when I extrapolate that, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm a sperm donor, not a mathematician, but it's something like, if for a population of 66 million in the UK, it'd be something like 2,500 children.
Some people say that what you're doing is playing God. Do you see it that way?
When people come to me, they know that I'm a person who provides private sperm donations on the internet. They know that I have about 200 children. There's no secrets. So they go into that fully aware of everything that's happening. So that's not playing God. I'm just basically providing a service. And if they didn't like me, they could go and find someone else.
So when you look back on your life one day, how do you want your story to be remembered?
I don't know. I guess I will have no control over how it's remembered. I appear in the media. Sometimes things are misrepresented, but I think that happens to everyone. I guess I'll be remembered however I'm remembered. I guess I would just want to be remembered as someone who was enjoyed his life. And I have a large number of children, and I want them to enjoy their lives as well.
For someone watching this that thinks what you're doing is wrong, do you have a message for them?
If they think it's wrong, it's just freedom of speech. Or maybe they should try to find something more interesting to do with their time rather than worry about me.